Tong Kim from South Korea as the appraiser at Miresean Appraisal Company. I'm here today to talk about regulations and appraisal solutions for green buildings in Korea. Now, I will begin my presentation. Since construction sector is a major source of carbon emissions, which the previous speaker told you, green building regulations have been developed to reduce emissions in Korea. So firstly, I talk about two regulations, GC and Green Home Regulation. Basically, even though green buildings have social and environmental benefits and are commanding a premium, appraisers hardly consider the increase of green values in appraisal. So I'm going to tell you about the current situation and shortcoming issues of green building appraisal in Korea. Lastly, I'd like to suggest some solutions for green building appraisal in Korea. Globally, carbon emissions have exceeded 10 billion tons per year, and this has become a serious global problem. As shown in the purple line and the red box, carbon emissions in Korea have significantly increased in the past 50 years. Carbon emissions levels in Korea in the world's top 10, which explains we are one of the most producing CO2. Therefore, Korea has participated in Paris Climate Agreement with other countries. As part of an effort, there are a variety of policies and regulations for sustainable development in Korea, like this. I will explain GC and Green Home Regulation in this presentation. GC is a certification of green building when buildings contribute energy efficiency and reduction of carbon emissions throughout their life cycle, from planning to design, construction, operation, maintenance, renovation, and disposal. GC divides buildings into 4 grades, from green grade 1 to 4. The certification is only available for buildings in this table. Since GC was launched in 2002, the number of certificated green buildings has been steadily increasing. In 2020, the cumulative number exceeded 20,000. In 2020, the number of certifications per year peaked at over 1,000 and then slightly declined over the past 2 years. However, it is clear that many buildings are now acquiring GC compared to when it started. As the number of green buildings increases, appraisers need to be aware of the green value and should make efforts to appraise it accurately. Now, here is another regulation, Green Home. As one of residential green buildings, Green Home is a house that can reduce its total energy consumption or its total carbon emissions by using these 5 component technologies. They are integrated like this concept map. Green home must be designed with a building energy efficiency grade 1 plus or higher and meet all 9 design directions of green home regulation. Apartment buildings, multiple family residence in one building, and mixed-use apartments can be applied to green home. Here are the certification criteria of GC and green home. I will introduce examples of each one. The first one is number 1 and number 7 of GC. Let's have a look. This complex was certified as GC Ordinary Green Grade 4 this year. As you can see, the landscape ratio within the complex looks quite high, and the design was also concentrated, especially in the internal side of landscaping, like here. Continuously, here are the specified details of the land use and transportation. We can just guess which factors were more focused on. I think there will be 1.1, 1.5, and 1.8. Now let's see the indoor view of the complex. The buildings in this complex have installed many systems to save energy, such as an energy use monitoring system, a heat exchanger, and others. These systems help to reduce the building's energy consumption and to minimize its environmental impact. Here is another complex which I would like to show you. This complex was built in 2017 as a pilot project by the government, university research institutes, and local governments. It has been certified as both GC Excellent Green Grade 1 and 1 Triple Plus Energy Efficiency rating. The building was designed to use renewable energy sources like solar, geothermal, and to minimize the use of gas, electricity, and other energy sources. In this complex, electricity and heat are produced by photovoltaics and geothermal systems. For example of the heating system, geothermal hot water is stored in hot water tank, and then it is supplied to a heat exchanger on each unit in the complex. And hot water distributors make each unit lower warm. Furthermore, through net metering, the electricity from the complex is sent back to Korea Electric Power Corporation. This complex is a successful green housing that currently produces more energy than it consumes. There are a few passive technologies in this complex. Here, on the left side, you can see the heat recover ventilator. It provides residents fresh air and minimizes its heat loss. And on the right, it is insulation, which can minimize the heat loss through the concrete structure of the wall, roof, and floor facing the outside. As I mentioned earlier, The regulations in Korea have promoted green buildings like these examples. But there is a gap between the regulations and the perceptions of appraisers. A Korean appraiser, Mr. Ryu, found this gap by a survey in his study. The survey found that 58% of appraisers say green value should be reflected in appraisers. However, 81% of them say they do not reflect green value in their appraisers at all, or slightly. This survey is resulting that the majority of appraisers are not actually reflecting green value in their appraisers. The reason for this phenomenon can be attributed by some practical reasons. So, I would like to identify the current situation. So I would like to identify the current shortcomings of green building appraiser in order to ultimately explore ways to reflect green values in appraisers. First of all, practical standards for appraiser establishing this provision for the appraiser standards of green buildings. It defines here in the yellow box. However, there are no specific instructions to supplement this regulation, and no regulations in other appraisal standards which precisely specify the directions of green building appraisal. I think these institutional inadequacies have led to a passive statement of green values. Here is the second shortcoming issue. The building construction cost table publishes annually by the Korea Real Estate Board. Despite that, the price varies depending on type of building. As shown, the table at the top, it includes the standard unit prices only for low energy single family house, not for other types of buildings such as apartments, offices, and commercials. This makes it difficult to appraise using other types of standard unit prices. Furthermore, since the existing appendix has the rough estimate, it is difficult to determine the price in detail. Therefore, it is hardly specified to state the green value in appraisal because of these reasons, I think. The last shortcoming is undisclosed information of GC scores. Article 12-4 of the Green Building Certification Rule has a provision on information protection like this. As the scores for each individual factor are not disclosed, this makes it difficult to evaluate green buildings accurately. Let me give you an example. The top of this slide shows a part of a building register in Korea. The most information of building is written in building register, like building coverage, address, heights, floor area ratio, and GC grade. Even though the two buildings are similar in shape and have no significant differences, the GC grades for each building are different. Let's have a closer look of Foreign-Dangsan. Its building coverage is almost 59%, floor area ratio approximately 400%, and GC good green grade too. Now we knew this Foreign-Dangsan's information. Let's look at another one. The wellness building coverage is 42% and floor area ratio almost 300%. And GC is ordinary green grade 4. Although the wellness building is much lower in building coverage and floor area ratio than the Foreign-Dangsan, its GC grade is not better than the Foreign-Dangsan's. I have no idea why two buildings apparently have different grades. As you can see, due to the lack of the specific information, this is why it is harder to conduct accurate appraisals. So, I would like to make a few suggestions for developing green building appraisal to overcome the shortcomings. My suggestion for the practical standards for appraisal needs to be revised and modified to specific standards. I written the detailed provision in the gray box. Moreover, it is necessary to improve the other standards too. Here are some things to keep in mind. Only when green values are included in the real estate market transaction, appraisers should consider it according to the specific appraisal standards like this slide. Secondly, a basic form for green building appraisal should be developed in order to enable objective comparison of the subject and comparable properties by specifying the comparison factors in detail like this. I've written the suggested details. They are presented by referring to the contents of the GC criteria and design directions of green home regulations. As I mentioned before, there are standard unit prices only for single-family house. Therefore, it is necessary to provide standard unit prices for green buildings according to their types, structures, and certification grades. Now, it's the last suggestion. This certificate is for the demonstration complex, which was shown before. It has scores for each field, like this, but it is not open to public. The disclosure of GC scores for each field is necessary so that professionals in relevant fields can assess the information. And also, it will be greater to record the scores on building register's drawings. If so, the green values in appraisal could be more accurate with the precise information. Let me give you a simulated proposals. In the case of cost approach, the yellow box shows the standard unit prices for ordinary housing which are existed now. If there are standard unit prices for green buildings like this green box, the building value can be evaluated as shown at the bottom of the slide, like this. In the case of market approach, the red dot is the demonstration complex which you already saw, and the purple dot is a comparable complex which is in the photo. As seen by the photos, the landscaping ratio in the demonstration complex looks better, but the location of it seems worse. So I compared the two complexes based on the details which I suggested in my proposals, like this. Regarding income approach, rental income is a key factor in determining the building's value. In the case of green buildings, rents can increase to cover the reduced management fee. So when rents rise, appraiser should consider the increase of green value in appraisers. To summarize, South Korea is aware of the problem of climate change and is trying to reduce carbon emissions by encouraging green buildings through institutional incentives. Although there are some shortcoming issues in this process which can be improved, not only green building appraiser can further develop, but also green building construction can be more activated. So that's all I have to say. I hope my presentation was helpful. Do you have any questions, or you can ask me more details by my email. Thank you.